Please unmute. Bangari Bab,
Yeah, I'm there.
but you are not visible.
Yes.
Please start.
Good evening, one and all. A very good evening to Udyanshri Prakash Kulkarni Sahib, Niranjan Deshpande Sahib, Dr. Gopal Mahajan Sahib, Srirang Zamde, and all the delegates who are joining, or participants who are joining for this webinar. I'm sure we are going, all of us, we know that we are going through a very difficult phase of life. In this difficult phase, we have found that what is important to life is only food, and everybody has concentrated their efforts only at getting food, and others have taken a backseat. During the lockdown that we faced, we knew that the only thing that came handy and that was important to us was food, and that was given to us by the farmer who toiled in the field, very hard work that he undertook. And this showed that farming is a very important profession. And like we were taught earlier that शेती ही प्रथम, धंदा हा मध्यम आणि कनिष्ठ कारकुनी. पण आता ते सगळं उलट झालेलं आहे आणि आता आपण ही रिव्हर्स करण्याची वेळ आलेली आहे. सो व्हॉट आय वुड रिक्वेस्ट एव्हरीबडी इज टू कॉन्सन्ट्रेट मोर ऑन our farming activities, and in that we also need to know what are the nuance of farming, nuance of cultivation, a nuance of little things that are important to undertake farming as a profession. For that, we to give hands-on experience, especially in Goa, we have started through our small efforts. RCPR Education Society has started School of Agriculture, where we provide education at higher secondary level, as well as diploma is offered, advanced diploma, which is affiliated to Goa University. We are thankful to all the faculty members, through all our advisors, through all the people who are helping us to make this mission successful. We would like today to welcome Dr. Gopal Mahajan, who has consented to be the main speaker. He is a scientist working in ICAR Old Goa, a very helpful, farmer friendly, and he knows how to put it across in a very subtle way, very simple way. And I'm sure we are all keen to listen to him today and learn from him. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions once he has finished with his presentation, and we can take home a lot of important aspects in this direction. Friends, I am really thankful to Udyanshri Prakash Kulkarni and Niranjan Deshpande ji for putting it together and making it happen. And we can, sit at home and get the experienced views of Dr. Gopal Mahajan and learn from him what what are the salient features. So over to Dr. Gopal Mahajan. I would be coming back again at a later stage. Please, Dr. Gopal Mahajan. I think Niriksha would be recording all these things, so this could be also then used for the purpose of our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, doctor, we can hear you.
I think he's facing some network issues.
Oh. There is a problem in Goa. BSNL server is down.
Acha.
If you,
Hello.
yeah. Yes, hello.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Before I start, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the organizers and Shri Kulkarni sir, who gave me an opportunity to give a webinar in this wonderful initiative for the Goan farmers. Dhanyawad sir. Thank you, Shri Mangrish Pai Raikar sir, Niranjan sir, and all the team. I think with that we should start because I have got only 45 minutes and I have so many things to share. I'll just share my screen. Please in any I'm not audible or you keep me in between. So the topic which was taken was plant nutrition management for fruit crops in Goa. It is very important to with respect to nutrition to improve the productivity and all. The content of my presentation I have fragmented into 4 parts. First is we should know the basics about soils of Goa and its fertility status, which will be about around 5 minutes. Then nutrient deficiency symptoms and the management for 10 to 15 minutes. By which could be introduced and adapted for situations of Goa and developed by us for 20 minutes. And I'll just price everything in last 5 minutes. So I hope so with this we'll be able to finish in 45 minutes and we can take some of the questions at end for 10-15 minutes. So basically, we should know how the Goan soils is. So at first instance, when we see that how the soil of Goa looks like, it looks more over red in color. So what it indicates is, if you see left hand side, there are some parameters I have stayed in red, and on the right side there are some parameters which are in green. So on the left hand side, in general, we can say that the Goan soils are sufficient with respect to soil organic carbon. They also have medium ranges or levels of phosphorus, but we also find some areas where deficiency of phosphorus is there, but medium to high level of phosphorus is available. Iron is amply available, manganese available. And if you see on the right hand side, low availability of nitrogen, in some cases phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, boron, zinc, and molybdenum. So if you see the nutrients that are limited are more in number compared to the one which are amply available. So we have to think basically for management of those nutrients which are in a deficient category. So on the calcium, we need to go for this. This is just for the kind of information and knowledge of audience that if you cross the pH of Goan soils, you can see that most of the Goan soils have pH less than 6.5. In very few cases, there is a nucleus. So the soils of Goa are acidic, and the area you can see here said moderately acidic. It's a slight yellow color. Grayish is slightly acidic. So my acid group is very palent. The carbon content of the goals is very high, so which is a good thing, but certain issues which needs to be addressed. One, before we go, I thought rather than
I think there are some network issues on Dr. Mahajan's end. He'll be joining us soon. Yeah, continue, sir.
Yes,
So-
please. Yeah, please. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
There's some problem with internet, I think.
Yes. Entire Goa, the
So
BSNL
if
server
the
is
farmers
problem.
and yeah, that is what. Just a minute. So knowing the nutrient deficiency symptoms is very important to address the issues. So I have taken some representative crops and how the nutrient deficiency symptoms look in those crops. If you see fruit crops, the majority of fruit crops are mango, areca nut, and then cashew nut, coconut. So I'll be talking more on this because the area under this crop is more. So if you see nitrogen deficiency in coconut, so nitrogen deficiency mostly occurs on older leaves of the coconut plant. So if you see in general an yellowing of the older leaves, you may find that the plants are suffering from nitrogen deficiency. You can see here as well the old leaves are pale yellow in color. So we can conclude that this is nitrogen deficiency. Same. Now in areca nut, in general, you can see that the younger leaves are dark green and the older leaves are pale in color. So it is a symptom of nutrient deficiency of nitrogen. Here you can see there are some of the plants which are yellow in color, so pale yellow in color, not really as a faint green you can say. So it's deficiency of nitrogen. In case of cashew nut, it is very difficult to identify deficiency of nitrogen in cashew nut, but still a complete yellowing of the leaves is a deficiency symptom of nitrogen. Pale yellow coloration of old leaves of the mango plant is also a deficiency symptom of nitrogen. You can see here a custard apple seedling, a very young seedling. Here you can see that older leaves are yellow in color and the younger leaves are green in color. So this is a peculiar symptom of nitrogen deficiency. If we understand this, that the older leaves will be yellow and the younger leaves will be dark green, so we can easily identify nutrient deficiency in different fruit crops in this region. Phosphorus deficiency, it is very peculiar symptoms, and in general we don't have the symptoms appearing on the fruit crops, but there are certain things which can be seen here. I have put example of rice crop, but I'll show the deficiency symptoms of banana as well. You can see here the purple coloration on the leaves is a deficiency symptom of the phosphorus deficiency. Now, guava plant, purplish color or coloration of the leaves. And in case of banana, if you see at the backhand side or the lower side of the leaves, if it is purplish on the margins, so you can conclude that it is a deficiency symptom of phosphorus. Now, I told you that nitrogen deficient in Goan region, phosphorus moderate to high levels of phosphorus are available, and potassium is also a deficient nutrient in Goan soils. Because of excessive rainfall, all those bases leach out, leaving behind very low amount of potassium. And let me tell you, on an average, a Goan farmer applies only 40 kilograms of fertilizers. However, the national average is 140 kilograms. So we use a very limited quantity of fertilizers. We don't have the potassium, nitrogen, which are major macronutrients in our soil. So in such cases, it becomes very important to do nutrient management if we are aspiring to get good yields. So in potassium deficiency, here you can see the lower leaves show wilting symptoms. The margins will be first appearing as yellow of the older leaves, and that moves towards the midrib. And this is a peculiar symptom of the potassium deficiency in coconut. Here you can see that the old leaves and wilting on the margins of the older leaves. In some cases, very typical symptom of potassium deficiency is the yellow spots spread across the leaflets. It is also a deficiency symptom of potassium. Cashew is a major crop in Goa, and here you will find these kind of symptoms in most of the orchard. If you go across the cashew nut garden, so easily you can make out such kind of coloration on the leaves. So here you can see the old leaves are showing the yellowing on the margin, and it is progressing towards the midrib. So this is a deficiency symptom of potassium. The difference between nitrogen and potassium deficiency symptom is that there will be a overall yellowing of the older leaves in case of nitrogen deficiency, but in case of potassium there will be initiation of the yellowing from the margins, and it reaches or progresses towards the midrib. So if we understand this, we can easily make out, and these kind of symptoms are invariably visible not only in fruit crops but also in the field crops in Goa, rice and other crops, vegetables as well. But they are also equally visible in the fruit crops as well. So here you can see as well that the scorching or wilting appearing on the margins of the leaves. This is again a separate photograph. Most of the photographs are collected by me. Wherever I don't have a photograph, I have tried to take it from an authentic source for the information of the audience. Now, in case of areca nut, when there is a drying of the leaves and it is, leaflets on the margins and it is progressing towards the midrib, it is a symptom of potassium deficiency in areca nut. In case of mango as well, you can see here that margins have started wilting and the wilting is progressing towards the midrib. In case of black pepper as well, calcium deficiency, as I told you that this is a region, by now I think we have received already 2,800 or more than that, nearing to 3,000 millimeter of rainfall. So into such a heavy rainfall area, all the fertilizers or bases, whatever are there in soils, they leach out and they create a lot of problem with respect to nutrition. The calcium is one such base which is deficient or limited in the Goan soil. So here you can see that the calcium deficiency is very much prevalent, and the younger leaf of the banana plant is unable to open in its natural way. So there is a deformation of the younger leaves, and this is one of the peculiar symptoms of calcium deficiency. Calcium and boron, the deficiency symptoms would definitely occur on the younger region, the new shoots. So here you can see that the deficiency symptoms are appearing on the unopened banana leaves. So both of the photographs, you can see that it has been unable to open naturally. So there is a deformation. In case of, I'll show this in some other presentation where we have a separate discussion on tomato, but the calcium deficiency symptoms in tomato. Deformation of the leaves. So the leaves are not uniform in size, and there is a deformation on the leaves. So this is also a deficiency symptoms of calcium. Magnesium is one such base which is deficient in soil. So the deficiency symptoms of magnesium are very peculiar. Interveinal chlorosis of the leaves. So here you can see the veins are green and the interveinal portion is yellow. So is the case in the second photograph. So we have to be very alert when we visit our garden, coconut garden, or maybe a cashew nut garden. If we see these things, these will tell you what exactly is the problem in our field. Maybe every time a farmer may not go to a soil testing lab, or he might not have an access, or he might not be in a position to pay 1,000 rupees or so. or the season is over. So your plants are telling you something and you have to identify it. Magnesium deficiency in cashew leaves. Here, there is peculiar problem which I'll be discussing at the end of presentation, that button shading, fruit drop. There are so many complaints in case of coconut, areca, and partially it is attributed to one of the nutrient which plays an important role in reproductive growth of the plants and the young shoots. Boron deficiency. If you see a coconut plant deficient with boron, you can find the deformation of the youngest leaf. Here in this photograph, you can see that the younger leaves are deformed. So they are not erect and they are not opening naturally. So there is some problem, and this can be attributed to the boron deficiency. So this kind of symptoms you can observe many places. At the same time, deformation of the leaves like this. Cracking in many fruit crops is a typical deficiency symptoms which is present in fruit crops. Here you can see cracking of the coconuts, hollow coconuts with no endosperm. Here you can see cracking in so many fruits. For example, watermelon. Here you can see that these are photographs from our experimental plot, the left down. The soils with deficiency of boron often show cracking in watermelon, often show cracking in case of mango even, and tomato. And if the cracking appears, the farmer loses 100%. He doesn't get any price for the cracked fruit. In case of papaya, we get the deficiency symptoms in the form of the fruits. Here you can see tumors like appearance on the fruits. It is not uniform in shape, and thus it doesn't get the good price in the market. So, and at the same time, flowering, fruiting, these are some of the problems associated with this. And this is very important problem as far as Goan soils is concerned. So if you take some other part of the country, for example, our Deccan Plateau, where boron deficiency will not be as prevalent as it is in Goan soil. So my point to show here was that how the Goan soils are and how the deficiency symptoms are. So we cannot apply all the remedial measures or the technologies which are available in other parts of the country blindly, and we adopt it, because it might not help. We have to understand basically what the problem is, and based on that we have to address the issues. So I think it's almost 15 minutes now, so we have finished the deficiency symptoms as well. So let's move on to the next part of the presentation as well. I just missed molybdenum deficiency in cashew nut. If you see long back, maybe 25 years back, many people investigated it, that it is a physiological disorder in Goa. So under low pH condition, our soils have very low pH, which moderately acidic to strongly acidic. Under such situation, manganese toxicity induced molybdenum deficiency many times is observed. So many a cashew nut orchards, you can see these kinds of yellow spot on the leaves. Some of the varieties are susceptible for it, and this is molybdenum deficiency. It doesn't harm the plant, but there are certain instances and researches that where people have remediated it using 0.1% molybdenum sprays. So these are in general the deficiency symptoms that are observed in Goan soils. Now, having known how our soils are, having known how plants are able to tell us what kind of deficiency symptoms are there in the field, but the farmer often miss. We have very good schemes like Soil Health Mission, and we get soil health cards. But how to translate that information into fertilizer terms? Even we visit to a doctor, he will tell you that he will assess you that your hemoglobin content is this, your WBC is like this, but he will often tell what is the remedial measure. So like this, until and unless we implement the management or remedial measures to a problem, will not be able to address it. So how to make decision on how much amount of nutrients we should apply? Now it's very difficult to substitute such a huge amount of nutrient through entirely organic sources. So we have to use a good blend of organic and inorganic both, if you want to go for a commercial farming. If you want to bridge the gap, for example, I'll just tell you, a coconut production in Goa is approximately 40 to 50 nuts per palm, but there are technologies which with it can go as high as 100 nuts or 120 nuts per. So from a single palm, we are able to double the yield with nutritional interventions or technological interventions. So it is as good as why to plant extra or exact amount of new plantations. So whatever plantations we have, if we manage that well, so we are able to increase the production. But this is a missing link. Most of the farmer, the decision making ability of the farmers with respect to fertilizers is based on certain things. For example, how much amount of fertilizer is applied by the neighborer, or how much he applies. And at most of the cases, he doesn't have a knowledge how much he should apply. So we have to bridge this gap. So what we have done, we have developed certain applications. So there are 4 R's of nutrient management: right source, right time, right amount, and a right place. So right amount, how a Goan farmer can get right amount of fertilizers. One way is to get the soil health card, but farmer has to come with his sample to a laboratory. He has to wait for 10-15 days, and again he has to get the soil health card, and then he has to take the necessary measure. In this regard, NBSS LUP and our institute has taken a very good initiative for the state of Goa. So if you download an app, soil health card here, for at a survey level in district, in taluka, and then village, and then at a survey level, you can go and you can check what is the soil fertility status of your field, and based on you can get the soil health card. Here you will be given scope to insert the area that you want to grow, the amount of or the number of trees you want to plant. If you want to plant a 100 number of coconuts, or if you already have a coconut plantation which is 5 years old, 10 years old, 20-year-old, so all the information will be asked, and you will get the exact amount of fertilizer that has to be added. The same thing which I was talking to you, that if you have a coconut 1 year old, if you have newly planted coconut orchard, if you have cashew nut which is 3 years old, 5 years old, you have to make selection, and you'll be getting the exact amount of fertilizer nutrient that you should add. So you don't have to do anything difficult for this. You can go to Google Play Store and simply type soil health card, and immediately you can download it, and you can get the soil health card as well as recommendations for all the crops what you desire. You can download this as well. You can share this as well. It is in the form of PDF or image as well. Many times farmers are not accustomed to use such kind of technology. So what they can do is, the one who is able to use this, they can get the soil health card and they can share with the farmers. So all the sharing options of that soil health card sharing through WhatsApp, Facebook, and message is already there. So this is one way. So ultimately, if you select a farm in North Goa borders and with survey number this soil health status, and you have to apply this much amount of nutrient. So you have to type soil health card. This is a unique initiative. I must tell you that maybe one of the earliest initiative for the state of Goa in the country. There are very few districts. If you type or click into this app, there are very few. That in Bihar, 2 or 3 districts have been added, but for Goa, we have both the districts added over here. Now, if farmer are not accustomed to this, if they feel that they have the soil health card and they want to get their fertilizer recommendations based on the card that they have, if they have tested their fertilizer. In earlier app, you don't have an option to feed the soil health data, but here there are chances that after 2 years, 3 years, if you apply the fertilizers and all, the soil fertility status may change. And if you get the fertility card or soil health card, so you can use the another application which is very popular, and it is also being hosted by different websites, and it is helping a lot. Almost, I think when I was preparing presentation, more than 5,000 downloads there. This time it is almost touching to 10,000 downloads. The people are using it for obtaining the fertilizer recommendations for some of the crop. Now, how to use this? If you go to Google Play Store and if you type fertilizer calculator Goa, you can easily get it. It will guide you on your own. So you have to select the number of trees and what crop you want to select, year. If you have soil health card, you can choose here. Then you can feed your soil health card data, and the app will tell you whether it is deficient, sufficient. And we have chosen only 2 micronutrients, zinc and boron, because these are deficient in Goa. So we don't have to unnecessarily apply the other micronutrients like iron, manganese, copper. So once you select it, you can make a selection about the fertilizers. Many times it happens that in market, fertilizers are prescribed in soil health card are not available in the market yard. So you can choose whatever fertilizers are available, and then you can decide the fertilizer type. At end of process, you get that for 1 coconut tree, you have to apply 1.28 kilograms of DAP, 1 kilogram of and MOP 3 kilograms, and approximately 300 grams of zinc and borax 200 grams, since these are deficient. Now, having known that how much amount has to be applied, but there are 2 more important things, or 1 more important thing is when to apply. We know how much amount of fertilizer has to be applied. Now, farmer has to be very sure that there are 2 good times at which the farmers can apply the fertilizers: after good onset of monsoon or before the rainy season recesses. So here there are 2 half doses that has been advised for coconut crop in first week of June, or after receiving good amount of rains, 5-6 rains, and we feel that the rainy season has been started well now. That is the time when you should apply the fertilizers. And last week of September. This is important that you should ensure that the soil should be wet when you are applying the fertilizer. Similar here, you can share all this information with your colleagues, farmer friends, and those who are unable to use, you can convey them this message after using this application, and you get at the last how much amount you should apply and what is the right time of application. Now, I talked about calculate fertilizer amounts, but there are some other important things. It's not only that we should solely go for fertilizer nutrients. There are some options available for Goan farmers where they can go for a concept of INM, and there are some of the technologies which I feel that we have done over here and which are available with the other institute. I have just put in there. So organic manure application is very important. So the quantity varies for crop to crop and age of the crop. So 10 to 50 kilogram per tree. In case of a mature coconut tree, as high as you can apply 50 kilograms of the well-rotten manure. If it is a young plant, so you can go for 5 to 10 kilograms. There are some biofertilizers available our institute has come up with some of the biofertilizers like Goa Bio 1. The farmer can apply 50 grams of Goa Bio 1, or there are some nitrogen fixing microorganisms like Azospirillum 50 gram, Phosphobacteria Azophos, and VAM as well. VAM also helps a lot in the soils where phosphate is deficient. Now, green manuring is also one. So we have also demonstrated at our campus, and we also in our agroecotourism unit. There are some green manuring crops like dhencha and sun hemp, which are available for green manuring. So in the basins of the coconut or some of the tree crop, you can do 50 grams of seed. You can sow and you can allow it to grow for 30 days, 60 days, or whatever is feasible. And after that, you can just chop it and apply back to the basin. So what this does is it adds organic manure to your coconut plant. At the same time, it adds the nitrogen to the. So here what you have to do is you just have to sow the 50 grams seed per plant. So it will take care of other parts of the nutrition. The comparison between organic manure and the green manure. If you take 1 ton of manure, if you have 1 ton of organic manure, farm-made manure, if you have 1 ton of compost, at the most how much amount of nutrient it can add. So 1 ton of manure, 5 kilogram of nitrogen, 2 kg phosphate, and 5 kilograms of potassium. 1 ton compost, because it is enriched one, so 10 kilograms nitrogen, 5 kilograms phosphorus, and 10 kilograms of potassium. But 1 ton green manuring will give you a good amount of nutrient, and the application is easy, rapid decomposition, and recycling is also being fast. There are some other ways farmers can use. Nowadays, there are some organic preparations, Jivamrut, Panchgavya. So it is one of the very important way. Now, let me tell you one interesting finding that our institute and our group has done. In Goa, we say that the Goan soils are very rich in organic carbon. So we have, it is very surprising, you know, in North India, we have only 0.1%, 0.2% of organic carbon, and our Goan soils have as high as 1.2, 1.5% of soil organic carbon. But still, the soils of North India are more productive and more responsive compared to our soils. So the amount of soil organic carbon present in our soil is not, you know, the major portion of it is in a recalcitrant form or in a less labile form. So what does it mean is the less labile form is not amenable to microbial decomposition, and the labile form, the small portion of labile form is available, which is actually contributing to the nutrient mineralization. Now, what are the ways to mineralize this carbon? So what we have to do is the only way is to increase the microbial activity. We have found out that because of low pH and all, and the microbial activity, you know, is slowed down. So we have to trigger this microbial activity. So how we can trigger this microbial activity is by addition of some of the organic preparations. For example, is Jivamrut. So we have been demonstrating to the farmers at our campus as well how to prepare it and how they can use it. So it is ready to use in 6 to 7 days, and the properties with respect to microbial, and we have standardized that in 6 to 7 days, if you use a combination of 2 kg jaggery and 2 kg of good fertile soils, preferably from the banyan rhizosphere soils or from a tree which is very healthy and stout, and you can add the flour and 200 liters of water, and in 6 to 7 days you can prepare the solution. Now 200 liters of solution is sufficient for 1 acre, and you have to apply in 1:5 ratio, so it will become 1000 liters. So plantation crops, if you apply, the results will not be as you know, immediate as it is in the field crops, but it improves the efficiency of applied nutrients. At the same time, it helps the microbial decomposition in the rhizosphere of the plant. So this is one of the supplementary thing. Besides applying only fertilizer nutrients, farmers should definitely go for waste decomposer. I think it is mostly for decomposition. I'll just skip it. We have done some trials for decomposing it, large amount of biomass, how we can decompose it. Now we know the amount of fertilizer that we should apply. Now we know when to apply, but how to apply is a very important factor. I have seen many fields, what is being done is the fertilizer is abruptly put on the surface of soil near to the trunk, but it is not going to help. What we have to do is it should be available to the roots, and it should not be exposed to the atmosphere because of temperature, and it comes with contact in air, volatilization. There are so many factors. So the appropriate method of application, though it is laborious, it is a bit expensive, but if you want to use your fertilizers appropriately, you have to follow the appropriate method. You have to make a trench 2 meters away from the trunk, which is 10 to 15 centimeter deep, and you apply the exact weighed quantity of the fertilizers for palm or one tree. You just apply it, and you can mix it with the organic manure as well, and you have to cover it. That's the important process of application. Otherwise, if you just put the fertilizer on the surface, most of the part of it is not useful, and it is not translated into the production. I have put a photograph for cashew nut plant. You can see here how the fertilizer is being applied approximately 1 meter away from the trunk, maybe 15-20 centimeter wide trench is up 10 centimeter, and the fertilizers is being used. This way, the use efficiency of the fertilizers will be higher. There are some techniques, root feeding of nutrients. Many times farmers, miss application of fertilizers. They don't get fertilizer. They're not in a position to purchase fertilizer. So in that case, root feeding in some of the plants, for example, coconut. So this is a technology by Tamil Nadu Agricultural University where a nutrient solution is prepared. This is a composition for 1 liter. So if you get 1 liter, 2 liters, or 10 liters of the solution per liter, this will be a composition of that nutrient solution: urea, MOP, zinc sulfate, soluble boron, sodium molybdate, NAA, and citric acid. So what you have to do is you have to dig a pit 3 feet away from the trunk of a coconut plant. So approximately 2.5 to 3 feet, and you have to find out the functional root, which is a fresh developed pink red color root, and you have to cut it, and you have to dip that root into 200 ml of nutrient solution in a polybag. Means for one coconut plant you need 200 ml of nutrient solution, and ensure that that root is dipped into the polybag. So after 4 to 24 hours, if it is not sucked by the plant, so our selection of the root is wrong. Otherwise, if it is sucked, so our selection of the functional root is proper. So what happens with this is there are some positives and negatives of this as well. So this is the process what we have done here as well, and we have demonstrated to the farmers as well how to prepare it and how to implement it. It improves the overall growth of the plant and supplies the essential nutrients, because the farmers would not apply boron many times, they would not apply molybdenum many times. So micronutrients application is being missed by the farmers most of the time. So in this, whatever you apply is being absorbed by the plant. But a word of caution here is it doesn't mean that you should not apply the other sources of nutrients. So it is not substitute to the regular nutrient management practices. So it is a time and gap arrangement if you come across some of the deficiencies and all. So it is a supplementary nutrient management. So it is not a substitution to actually what nutrient management we follow. Button shedding, many times farmers come to us or they share the problem that the premature buttons or the premature coconut fruits, they drop button shedding in coconut. So the reason are many here, but there are some reasons which could be attributed to the nutrition as well. So economic loss due to this is 10 to 20%, and 20% loss is also good. So out of 50 nuts, if a farmer is losing 5 nuts, so he is losing a good portion of the net income. So premature fruit drop or button shedding, how it can be addressed? The reasons are many. For example, acidity. Second is lack of manuring, or many times it happens due to moisture stress as well. So how we can address this? A proper nutrition should be able to address this. So to address this, if you observe that lot of button shedding in case of palm is observed, apply extra 2 kilograms MOP and 200 grams of borax per farm. 2 kilograms of MOP and 200 milligrams of borax. And this is in addition to, and this has to be continued for 3 continuous years in addition to what you apply, recommended doses. And how we have to apply, I have already shown. So this way the button shedding problem could be arrested. I think the cashew nut is one of the important crop of Goa, and molybdenum deficiency, as I have already told, that if a farmer wants to correct it, so he has to spray 0.1% borax solution or the molybdenum solution if he has to correct it. Here there is a mistake, 0.1% molybdenum solution it is. So it has been interchanged actually. If you see boron deficiency in cashew nut, so rosetting means a large number of leaves in a small portion. If you see bunch of leaves at a stretch, so there will be a deficiency of boron, and you have to apply 0.1% borax or boron salt spray at different timings. One is flushing, flowering, and fruiting, and this should be able to address the problem. But at the same time, during the next season or onset of monsoon, whenever you are planning for nutrient management, you should definitely apply the borax fertilizer, because foliar spray is again not a substitution of the soil application. Soil application is very important and a basic need if you go for nutrient management. But if you omit soil application and only go for foliar spray, it might help you temporarily, but it does not address the problem permanently. So now we have completed 40 minutes, and I just want to summarize some of the things which we have discussed, and we should keep in mind whenever we think of the nutrient management in important crops of Growa. There are 4 important things with respect to nutrient management and fertilizer application: right amount, right source, right place, right time. So these 4 R's, if we address, it will be able to improve the productivity of most of the fruit crops of the region. So applying a right amount of nutrient at right source, from right source at a right place and right time. I was just going through the, I just followed the Kisan.net and Kisan Samvad. I came across one of the lecture on chrome phosphate rich organic manure. I wanted to include that in my lecture as well, but since it was covered, so I thought that I should omit that. Now Goan soils, as we have discussed, that the pH is less and phosphate availability, though, and after analysis we get to know that phosphate is available, but the plants are unable to use it. So if we use sources of phosphorus like phosphate rich organic manure, So it helps the plants. Even you apply a lot of phosphatic fertilizer, it is not going to supplement the plant because of the problems associated with soils, because of high iron content, because of high aluminum content, low pH. But if you apply rock phosphate, that is very suitable in the acidic soils, and the phosphate rich organic manure, the compost blended with the phosphate. So at one side, the compost will release the phosphorus slowly through organic acid decomposition and release, and it will be available to the plants over the period of time. So PROM is one important thing which I missed, but these are the four concepts of fertilizer application: right amount, right source, right place, and right time. Why I say right time as well? Because potassium is one nutrient which is limiting in our soils, but most of the farmers, they don't apply potassium, and even if they apply, they just apply at one time. And you just think of, if you apply all the potassic fertilizers at once and you receive very high amount of rainfall, all your potassium and urea is washed away along with the runoff, and that is not useful to the plants. Here, one important thing also farmer has to follow is the weather based advisories. Right time. Why? Because if you don't follow the advisories, if you are going to get a heavy downpour, for example today, yesterday, and day after tomorrow, or tomorrow, there is IMD's forecast that there is going to be a very heavy rainfall, 100 millimeters, 115 millimeters. So we should not plan our fertilizer application activity. You apply right amount, right place, and right source. But if your time is missed, if you apply now, so the utility of that fertilizer will be limited. So you have to be watchful that if it is going to be a dry spell for next 5-10 days, or if next 5 days is a very light showers we are going to receive, that time we should plan our application of fertilizer. Otherwise it will be waste. We have to be watchful. As soon as we started showing symptoms, now amid COVID-19, we all are aware that if you are suffering from some respiratory problems, headache, and there are some symptoms, we immediately doubt that this could be the symptoms of COVID-19 or something else. So we have to be very watchful with respect to our orchard as well. As soon as we enter in the orchard, we should identify what could be the nutrient deficiency, and that's how we should use the appropriate management practice. I don't say that we have to apply only fertilizers. We have to use a good blend of fertilizers with the organic sources. For example, organic manures, I told you, compost, green manuring, or biofertilizers, organic preparations. And this is just like, taking medicine with milk. It helps a lot. So like this, the efficiency of fertilizer will be improved a lot if it is applied with the organic manures, biofertilizers, compost, and organic preparations. Before I end, I give my acknowledgements to all the participants first and the farmers who are listening to us. Shri Prakash Kulkarni sir, for giving me an opportunity and identifying me as the key person for this lecture. Shri Raikar sir from RCPR School of Agriculture, Kisan Samvad team, Niranjan sir, and I also thank my institute from where we could conduct a lot of experiments and compile this information, and we could share for the livelihood and betterment of the farming community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you,
Dr.
Dr. Gopal Mahajanji. I have one question, sir. Can I go ahead, Udanshree Prakash ji? Can I go ahead? Hello, sir.
Time is the limit now. We have some next webinar.
Yeah, I'll just take one question, sir, if you don't mind. Dr. Mahajan, now what has happened is most of the people are trying to convert the fallow land back to cultivation, as you know, because mining is not working and many people are going back. Now what has happened is, is it not good to enrich the soil before you start cultivation? and how would you advise them? What sort of time gap is required before they really do the plantation? And secondly, whether cultivation of fodder would help this process.
1 second, sorry to interrupt. Mahajan sir, could you please stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, regards to
get
your
my-
first question regarding fellow lands.
Yeah.
Now see, fellow
Yeah.
lands are, inherently very fertile since they have not been used for a long time. So they are a material which is ready to use with appropriate management practices. So we don't have to enrich it with something else and all. So what we can do is we can take the clearing of land, and then we can test the soils, and whatever limiting nutrients are there, we can plant that way. So we don't have to apply any other conditioners on anything. So, and they are inherently rich since they were fallowed for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So there was a thick grass cover, and these are very rich with respect to nutrients. They have not been exhausted with crop cultivation. And second one is fodders. Absolutely, we can go for fodder cultivation, and they are very suitable. Most of the fallow lands are, low lands. They are in a low-lying area, so moisture is not a limiting factor. They are inherently fertile, and if a farmer wish to go for, livestock, dairy farming, and all, so absolutely there is no problem with respect to fodder cultivation. The only thing, these are also exhaustive, we have to take due care. During rainy season, we don't have paucity of water, but we have to go for appropriate nutrient management to get good yield of fodder as well.
Thank you.
Sir, you're not audible.
Hello? Yes, I could finish in 46 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a very interesting and very informative presentation. Though I joined it late, but it was a very informative. And as a RCPR School of Agriculture and Community College, we have been associated with ICAR. We have a MOU with ICAR, CCARI also. And Dr. Mahajan has been very instrumental in taking our students to their lab and teaching many things in relation to soil analysis, soil sampling and everything. And we are thankful to Dr. Gopal Mahajan and all the ICAR authorities who are very instrumental in giving a proper exposure and very good exposure to our students. Thank you. Today also we have presented a very good informative presentation, which is very much important for the farmers, and very new things which are not in the discussions of the farmers are presented. So I think these things are to be taken to the farmers, and we feel very proud to be associated with you, sir, and we will also try our best to take these things to the farms. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niranjan Deshpande ji, and thank you, Prakash Kulkarni, for making it happen, and the entire team of KisanNet, right from Niriksha and others who are there working in the background. I'm sure you have spent a lot of time and efforts in getting these things done. We are really grateful, and this is information. And now, as our Honorable Prime Minister says, that we need to convert the knowledge into wealth, and the knowledge that Dr. Gopal Mahajan has shared with us, I'm sure this will be enabling the farmers to convert it into wealth by using it, so that there is no wastage. We start getting good production. good cultivation, and this will go a long way in making things happen for the farming community as such. Thank you all. Thank you so much.